All right, welcome, Coach. We'll start with an opening statement from you, sir, and then we'll take questions.
Thanks, Paul. Put this away here. Yeah, great to see everybody. Happy spring. It's been a busy week in Gopher athletics for a lot of positive reasons. So I'm going to start my press conference with that. So first and foremost, congratulations to Ben Johnson, our new basketball coach. Got a chance to go to the presser. Really excited for him and where Gopher basketball is headed. So that was really good to see. Not only that, our men's hockey team. You know how big of a fan I am of Bob Motzko and our hockey team, man. How awesome. #1 seed. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, Gopher hockey get right back to where it belongs, right on top. And really excited for him. Our women's gymnastics team just won the Big Ten. So congratulations to Coach Hansen and her team. Gabe Stevenson just became a national champion, which I think he's just goes by just Gable now. So I think he's just one name, kind of like Prince. I think everybody knows that. And then Sarah Bacon, women's diving, won a national championship too. So tremendous week in Gopher athletics, and which I'm a huge fan of and keep track of all the time. So really excited about our athletic programs and really happy for all of them. For us, spring practice actually starts today. Surprise. It actually starts today. We actually have 2 practices, one today, one tomorrow, but it's kind of a soft opening. Our guys have been building up to this over our 10-week winter conditioning program. So it's only a 12-period practice today and then tomorrow, and then we'll get into our first day of real practice starting on Monday. But we are starting today, and we're really excited about the spring. And happy spring to all of you. So with that said, open up for questions.
All right, thank you, Coach. We'll start with Andy Greeter from the St. Paul Pioneer Press.
Good morning, PJ.
Good morning, Andy.
Just wanted to, before we dive into the spring, I wanted to see your reflections on last year and how you overall assess the season and ways you feel like your program can get better.
Well, we got better because we got better. We got better as people. And I think that's what matters. When I look at 2020, we lost 2 one-possession games and we won 2 one-possession games. Hindsight's 2020. You beat Wisconsin and you beat Maryland. You end 5-2. It's a different story. That didn't happen. We could have also lost Purdue, and next thing you know, you're 2-5, and everybody's really scratching their head. But there were so many factors last year that I think it's really hard to know exactly where that team was, and then not only where this team's going to be. We lost 2 starters. They're both going to be high draft picks. Ben St. Juste and Rashad Bateman. Everybody's back. Not only that, we added a lot of people, and we've started our conversation with our players. We might not be picked to win this and win that. We might be picked 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th in the West. Who knows? I don't know what we're going to be picked, but we're already creating that internal expectation and that internal pressure because I really like this football team. And I look at 20 and 21 almost as one season. There were a lot of factors that were way outside of our control. Canceled games, 30-plus players out, multiple players being out, and you're not planning for that in a day or 2 before the game, morning of the game. There were just so many factors. And then you throw all the changes that these young people had to go through. And I look at it as, I felt like we did 2020 well. Now, I'm not saying our record in football. Okay, so don't say PJ thinks 3-4 is good. I'm not saying that. There were so many things behind the scenes that if you don't attack head on, and you don't embrace change and empathy, sooner or later, it'll catch up to you when it catches up to you. Out of all the things we went through, especially that middle part of that summer, nobody just picked up and left. Nobody said, this isn't for me. They all came together. They created a HERE initiative, helping end racism with education. Since then, we've had Dr. Harry Edwards with our football team. We've had Sage Steele. We've had Kevin Warren, Maria Taylor, Tony Dungy, multiple professors who study and have researched racism in America. Come in and educate our entire team on that. Carl Anthony Towns. I could go on and on about a program that we developed that is going to be part of change as we keep moving forward, and not just check a box. This is massive change. And when I reflect on 2020, and I said at the beginning of that, I want to be the most empathetic head coach in America. I was saying that more for myself, not to tell you that and have you judge that, but for me to make sure that I can find a way to be even better every single day and not just, tell everyone else to be that. And we've challenged everybody inside our room to do that. And I think we're a better football team today than we've ever been. We've talked about this togetherness, this TGIF, it used to be, Family Matters and Full House and Dinosaurs and Elf and, back in the day. And we talked about togetherness, right? Gratitude, identity, and focus. And that's what this whole year is about. Under one roof, come together and really be together. And I've said this before, is that society should look like a college football locker room. Now, I don't know if it is, but it should look like it. There's so many examples from that locker room and even from our locker room moving forward of what this team has overcome, accomplished, came back from. Multiple players could have stopped, quit, moved on, and they came back. They came back because of the University of Minnesota, this place, our program, our culture, and each other. That's powerful because they're doing it for people. They're doing it for each other. So when I reflect on last year, there's been a lot. And but that's why I kind of say, okay, whoever did that better and whoever really hit that head on and whoever had real change and an authentic change within all of our people, then you have a chance to be, I think, really successful in 21. So, and not to say if you didn't, you're not going to have any success. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying from our football team, I just feel like I'm really, really proud of our players, of what they've overcome and what they continually do every day to inspire, create, change in America. So, and then you throw COVID in there too, of where we are with that in our country and where we still are and the battle everyone's facing with that around the country. So there's just so much. And then I'm not getting political, but you get into what's happened in the last, 10 days. There's been 7, I think, mass shootings in 10 days. There's just a lot to deal with. This is, and if it's just football, we're going to have an issue. So I look at the record for what the record was, but based on all the circumstances we had, we know why the record was that. And we can now change, adapt, and hopefully make it way better.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Let's go to Ryan Burns, 247. Ryan.
How you doing, PJ?
I'm doing elite. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing well. And my question would be, I'm curious, when you look back on the past couple of seasons here and what has happened on special teams, what has to change there for that unit to consistently start being an asset for your football team?
I think you just said it, consistency, right? It's got to be trusted. And that comes down to time, consistency, and proof, right? We've had, multiple people do multiple things. And I think that's hard at that position. It's not like you're bringing in 5 scholarship kickers and you're going to pick the best out of 5. And then there's 2, 3, 4, and 5 behind it. It's just as good. We've kind of had that move. I think we've made some major changes and some major fixes as we move forward. I think we have. I think that's helped us in our recruiting department, and it's going to have to. And I think we've created depth, which is going to help, the kickoff coverage, the punt coverage, the punt return. We led the country. I think it was in punt block 2 years ago. But we focus on maybe making special teams just 1 or 2 guys, the punter and the kicker. It's more than that. And we brought some competition in with the punter position. We brought in, some guys that aren't even here to bring competition for the kicking department here coming up in about a month and a half. So I'm really excited about special teams. And like I said, I haven't met many coaches that are better coaching special teams than Rob Wanger. So again, we've got to get to the issue of it's not just the scheme, it's not just the players, it's a combination of it. And then we've got to get some consistency out of the people that are doing the job on the field, which we feel like we're working towards definitely getting this year.
Go to Joe Schmidt with KSTP.
Hello there, PJ.
Well, how are you?
I'm
good to see you, Joe.
Good to see you too, Coach.
I see you once in a while. You're here in the same spot you are on TV. It's great.
Just about. I got an old Gopher helmet. I'll take a new one if you want.
Duly noted.
Question for you. If you could wave a magic wand and improve in one specific area of your football team this year, what would that be?
All of it.
I was afraid that was going to be the answer.
Yeah. Well, you know me. I have a definition for, momentum. Hindsight doesn't exist. So we're talking about magic, right? And waving a magic wand. You're talking about a guy who gives a definition to momentum. So I think we have to get better. We have to get better together. And I think if I could wave a magic wand, it would be everyone to get what I just said, that TGIF, that everyone coming together, right? Because if we can do that, I think this team's going to be very talented. We're going to be a very good football team. And, there's a lot of factors that go into that. I mean, there's a lot of things so much outside our control, which is just involved in sports as it is. But I really enjoy being around this football team. And I really enjoyed watching these players go through and get through and overcome what they all went through. I mean, they went from boys to men, and that was a group back in our day, right? But they've grown up a lot, and they've not only done that. These new freshmen that have come here are incredibly talented. We just had a staff meeting about the personnel that we had, Joe, and these young freshmen. Remember, we couldn't see these guys live; they never met us live, and holy cow, these guys are really special. So, I would probably just say to make sure that there's so many things out in society that want to pull us apart. And I would make sure that wand kept everybody together and wouldn't allow that society on the outside of our walls to just pull us apart, which, is natural human instinct. So it's more about building a almost like a fort and a castle instead of having cubicles, if that makes sense, where we're all in that same fort together instead of just we have our own little cubicle and we're all divided. So because I like every position. And I know I'm rambling at this point, and you're probably like, all right, you already answered my question, move on. But I'll give you an example, like wide receiver. This is probably the second time in my career as a head coach that wide receiver is probably going to be one of our more youthful and inexperienced positions, where for 6 of my 8 years being a head coach has always been my most experienced. Where this one's going to be a little bit different. And Coach Simon, I said, boy, we got our work cut out for us this year. It's going to be fun. Like we got to earn it. It's going to be great. But when you look at it, it's also the fastest unit we've ever had. So there's a lot of things like that when you look at our offense in the 5 positions, the wideout might be like the biggest question mark of who's going to do it. And which maybe we've had answered 6 of the 8 years. But there's also things that we had questions when we first got here. We had 4 linemen on the team. Well, now we have 9 guys up front that have started. So there's things like that you might want to be able to wave a magic wand, and you have an injury wand, and things like that. But I think I can move on. I apologize for going on, but that was a great question.
We'll move on to Daniel House. Daniel, go ahead.
Hey, PJ.
Hi, Daniel. Good to see you, man.
Nice to see you. When an NFL team drafts Rashad Bateman and Benjamin St. Juste, what are they getting?
You want me to talk about them separately, or you want them together?
However you'd like to do it.
Yeah, I think they're, first of all, getting 2 fantastic and amazing people. I think this world is about people. I think success is about people. And I think if you get enough right people together, you can win. And, we had Dr. Harry Edwards, and I'm sure you're all very familiar with Dr. Harry Edwards. Dr. Harry Edwards was, when I was with the 49ers, I got to know him. He actually took all the rookies to San Quentin prison, and that was one of our first field trips together with Dr. Harry Edwards to San Quentin. But I got to know him over the years, and he talked about he's never been part of a championship team that didn't have amazing people on it. And that's what you're getting with those 2 guys. Are they phenomenal athletes? Absolutely. Are they wonderful players? Absolutely. But they're wonderful locker room people. They're going to represent their community, their city, the NFL team, the organization, the coaches, the fans in a first-class fashion. And they're professionals in their work. I think they're professionals before they had to become professionals. Part of the reason why Rashad picked, Minnesota over other places. He wanted that earlier, wanted that success earlier, and then he wanted to be ready and be armed for the National Football League because he wanted to play as a freshman, and he was able to do that. Not to say he couldn't other places, but it would have been way harder. And maybe you had to sit behind a lot of other guys and wait his turn just naturally. Here, he could step in and go. And Ben St. Juste, I mean, you're talking about a guy that's got incredible length that you can't teach, who basically plays corner like a wide receiver runs routes. He can get in and out of his break points better than wide receivers can. He's incredibly long. He's incredibly intelligent, smart. He anticipates well, and he's long, and he can run. That's hard to find. A lot of times corners that are 6'3" are leggy. They're heavy-footed at times. They're long striders. He's not leggy. He's very quick-footed, and he runs like he's 5'11". He plays like a 5'11" corner, but has 6'3" length. So these are 2 very special prospects. We have 2 kids coming out. That's it. We're going to be 100% and drafted. of anybody draft eligible coming out. We're going to be 100%. So don't sit there and write only 2 players got drafted. We were 100% in the draft eligible players, and they're going to be high round picks, in my opinion. Not only that, I know we haven't had offensive linemen drafted in 18 years. That's coming. That's the next year's draft. Hopefully not too many, but we'll see.
Let's go to Chip Scoggins with the Star Tribune.
Hey, PJ, along those lines, when you look at the seniors that returned along your offensive line that came back for the free year, and then what you did with the transfer portal and adding some, filling some needs there, is this as experienced a team as you've had in terms of those spots? Your quarterback's a third-year starter. I mean, it seems like this is a older team and a deep team.
I would say yes. It's comparable in depth to probably year 4 at Western Michigan in depth, right? And I know I just said that, so everybody's going to say Coach Fleck said they're going to go 13-0. I didn't say that. In experience, that's the team I can say had the most experience. When you just ask, is it the most experienced? That would say that is the most experienced. I really like this team because they're experienced. And I'm not saying I like this team because they've had a ton of success together. This is a completely different team than last year, but I look at it as an extension of what we did and how we did it last year, and what we did and how we didn't cut corners in a lot of things. And really their thoughts, feelings, personality, emotions, mental makeup came way first beyond anything else to make sure they were okay besides just playing football. And they still were able to win 3 games. And not only win a game on the road at Nebraska with 33 players out. I mean, they did so many things that a lot of people don't talk about. They say about this disappointing season. I don't look at it that way. And the record is the record. But that was not even close to being a disappointing season, in my opinion. In fact, that Nebraska game was probably one of the most memorable games I've ever had as a head coach because of what we went through internally. And a lot of times you guys don't get to see that. And that's okay. It's not no one's blaming anybody for that. I'm just giving you an insight of what we're looking at, that when you look at it big picture, that's what you're looking at. So when I sit there and think about the experience, Chip, and why I like the team, it's because of what they went through together, what they've overcome together, how they've failed together, how they've succeeded together, right? And they've gone through it together. And we have a lot of guys that have done that. And to me, that's a dangerous football team.
We have time for 2 more. We'll go to Hobie, and then we'll go to Dave Campbell. Hobie, go ahead.
Hey, what's going on, PJ? Hope you're doing well.
Oh, man, miss you.
Good seeing you. Good seeing you. I have to ask you, I mean, you've talked a lot about just all the team has been through, both on and off the field. I mean, a lot of stressful things going on in this world, both in the world of football and in the world itself. But what would you say is the goal overall for this spring for you guys in the next few weeks?
Well, first of all, when you talk about the stress and the pressure, we define stress are things that are somewhat outside of your control, right? And I think when we all say we're stressed out, it's probably because we're thinking about then, and we're thinking about things that we can't necessarily control the outcome, right? From other people's thoughts, feelings, and things like that. But what we can do is control now and put pressure on ourselves and expect the most out of ourselves now and control those things now. And that's what we want to do is to create this pressure. But when you're talking about this team of what we want to do in the spring, it's TGIF. I mean, it's that togetherness. It's that gratitude to be grateful to be playing football, to be with each other, to be as blessed and lucky as we are to do this, to have an identity. We have an identity we want to form, and we want to be able to start building that in spring. And then focus on all the right things. All the things we can make a difference at. Not all the things maybe we can't necessarily do. Focus on what we can do and focus on creating action and change within ourselves, personally, professionally, on the field, off the field, academically, athletically, socially, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. And that's what we want out of this team. And that's going to be a major emphasis for us. Is this togetherness and come together, which sounds pretty, easy, but if you have 120 guys that aren't together, that's just a group. You get 120 people from all walks of life, that from all different backgrounds, all different religions, and you bring them all together, right? And they're all grateful to be together, and they form an identity together, and they focus on that task at hand. Again, dangerous football team. No job will be won in the spring. I will say that. We have competition that we haven't had in years at every position. So everybody's going to compete. Everybody. And I think that's what makes this spring so unique and different is because think about this, Hobie, is that we usually have spring where you have like 60 players on the roster, 65 scholarship athletes, because you're waiting for that next class to come in. Well, now we have 95 scholarship players, and they're all here. Right? They're all here. You only lost 2 players, technically, right? We had some guys leave, but 2 players, and you're sitting there thinking, wow. I mean, now we can do, 3 sets of 1s, 2s, 3s, A, B, C's, because there is no 1, 2, 3s. But everybody's going to get a chance to be opportunity with the 1s and the 2s and the 3s, and everybody's going to get reps. And this thing is going to be incredibly competitive. I mean, incredibly competitive. And there's a major difference between competitiveness and hard work. And this thing is going to be the most competitive spring we've ever had. And that's what's exciting. That's why I'm so excited to tell you we're starting today, because we're starting today and here we go. It's kind of like that movie Top Gun when he says, all right, now you're in the Top Gun. Now it starts. And no competition will be done in the spring. That won't happen with as competitive as rooms as we have. That might not happen until 2-3 weeks before the first game. And that's okay, because we got a lot of people who've played. So it's not like we got to get them starting just to play together, because even who starts, the backups are going to play just as much. So I think that's critical.
All right, let's finish it with Dave Campbell from the Associated Press. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, PJ.
Hey, Dave.
Wondering about Niles Pinckney and sort of what you're eager to see, sort of his impact on the defensive line.
Well, I think when you look at our defensive line, I think that's one of the hardest positions to recruit, develop, retain. In the National Football League, college football, it's a very difficult position. And interiorly, we got 6 guys that have played a lot of football, can play a lot of football, and we're deeper than we've ever been interiorly. But what I've seen is that Niles Pinckney has brought this competition in like that. You got a guy that's been a 2-time captain at Clemson. You got a guy he's a pro. I mean, he handles himself in a first-class fashion. He's a father. He's providing, and he's got an agenda. All right, he's got a mission, and he came in here and he's put his head down and worked. And you can see why he was a captain at Clemson. He put his head down and went, and I think that whole room went up when that happened. Competition brings out the best in people and the worst in people. In that room, it brought out the best of everybody. And that's why I'm really excited to see come this defensive line, especially in the interior, of how that all pans out as we keep moving forward. But it's not just about Niles. The other guys have to do it. I mean, the D'Angelo Carters and the Rashad Cheney's, a guy by the name of Gage Keys, you guys haven't even seen play yet, right? And then you have Micah, right? And then you have Keontae Shad in there. And we brought in Val Martin. I mean, we're pretty deep there. Logan Richter. There's 8 guys I just named. And that's just interiorly. So I'm really excited, as you can probably tell, to get this thing moving. And it's been a wonderful week in Gopher athletics. There's a lot of positivity, we're really excited about getting this thing moving.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, everybody. Row the boat, Sky Ma. Go Gophers. Thank you.